I need to do a dance for this one. Welcome everybody, my name is Sarah from Broma Bakery and today we are making cookies with Cheryl's. For those of you who don't know, Cheryl's is a cookie company that brings the magic of cookies to your front door. So they have a cookie for every occasion, you guys. You can get corporate gift boxes, happy birthday cookies, holiday cookies. I mean, truly, if there is an occasion, they have a cookie for it. So today we are working with Cheryl's cookie decorating kit, which is probably my favorite item that Cheryl's has, just because you are able to get the beautiful, pillowy, soft, classic Cheryl's sugar cookie, but do it in your own way. So today we are going to take this cookie kit, which comes with some pretty fantastic ingredients. It comes with all of these cookies. We get 2 different kinds of buttercream, a fudge and a vanilla. We get some really great sprinkles, and then we're gonna jazz it up. We're gonna add our own flavors because if we're talking about creating an Instagrammable cookie, we gotta take this above and beyond. So we're going to, along the way, experiment with some different flavors, some different techniques, and some different ways of creating cookies with the goal of teaching you guys how to create the most perfect, beautiful, Instagrammable cookie. So we're gonna start with their chocolate fudge buttercream. And this, again, comes in this cookie decorating kit. So it is super easy. There's no mixing required. You just take it out and you are ready to go. So if we're talking about creating an Instagrammable cookie, we want to make sure that our technique is as good as possible. So instead of just taking a knife and slathering our frosting onto this cookie, we are going to use a piping bag. Now these piping bags you can really get anywhere. These are from Amazon, but any sort of local cooking store will do. And then I've just put this really big, wide tip in here. So this tip is gonna be perfect for piping a really nice, even dollop onto our cookies. So you're gonna take this bag, flip him inside out. Why I love doing that is because it makes it so then when you put in your frosting, you don't get frosting on the outside edge of your bag. And then I'm just gonna take a little bit of our Cheryl's frosting and I'm gonna place this baby right in here. Now we're only gonna be doing 2 cookies of this chocolate, guys, so we don't need to put too much in. Obviously we need to cut a hole in our piping bag. We're just gonna do a quick little snip of that. And now our piping tip can go down to the edge and put it on the outside edge of my countertop. And I'm just gonna use the weight of that countertop and I'm gonna drag it down. And this is gonna make it so I can get almost all of my frosting down to the edge of that bag. This is like level 1 of what we can do. Taking the ingredients that we already have in this kit and making something really beautiful. So I just took that chocolate frosting. As you can see, it piped out a really perfect sort of like Hershey's Kiss type of dollop. And then I'm going to take this little baby offset spatula that works really, really well. And I'm just going to, starting in the middle, twist this frosting around my cookie. There we have our perfectly circular cookie. I'm just gonna take some chocolate sprinkles and put them on top. Oh, you know, that's okay. There we have a perfect chocolate sprinkle cookie. And then I'm just gonna really quickly do that again, because I mean, why not? I feel like 1 cookie's sad, 2 cookies is happy. Cheryl sent over these questions. Let's answer some. Tell us the Broma Bakery origin story. How did you choose the name? How did you build this big empire? First of all, like, flattered that you're calling it an empire. Thank you. This story about the Broma Bakery name is actually pretty embarrassing because when I started my blog, I was a college student in 2010. I was so, and to this day am, so bad at naming, so I didn't know what to do. So I went on the internet, again, it's 2010, and I just Googled different words related to food in different languages. And I found this website, and this website said that Broma meant that which is eaten, or like edible. Like that was sort of like the rough translation, and it was in Latin. And I was like, oh my God, this is so cute. I love it. Broma Bakery. I love it. Let's do it. So I named my blog Broma Bakery. And then as my blog got bigger, a lot of people would ask, where'd you get the name? Where'd you get the name? And I always said, oh, in Latin it means like that which is eaten. It turns out it didn't. because then I went back to the internet and I Googled Broma, Latin translation, Broma, food translation. Like nothing came up. The only thing that I did find was that Broma in Spanish translates to joke. So I named my blog Joke Bakery, not this food bakery. That's Broma. How I really, I guess, created Broma to be what it is today. I was working in restaurants and I was so burnt out. I absolutely loved baking. I always baked with my mom growing up, and we like literally always had cookies on the counter or brownies in the oven. I basically decided to quit my job and try to make my blog a thing. I really had no fallback plan. I didn't know what I was doing. I quit my restaurant job and went home, and I literally Googled how to make money on a food blog. And I think because I really had no plan and no second plan B, I just hustled as much as I could. I spent every single day learning about photography, learning about baking, testing recipes, and it was absolutely just trial and error that got me to where I am today. I absolutely think that if you are looking to start a blog or looking to start a bakery or any business, it's so important that you just push yourself through those challenges and through those failures. I think a lot of us, once we have failures, we feel like, okay, that's it. I'm not good enough. I need to stop. And when you're creating your own business, you can't think that way. You just have to keep going and keep trying and really just aim to be the best you can be. And you'll slowly but surely figure it out as you go along. What I want to do now is I want to take some frosting and I want to add food coloring to it and use a really fun flowery piping tip. And because we're using such a small amount of frosting here, I have to be like pretty conservative with the amount of color I'm putting in here. So I'm just gonna start off with 1 drop of pink and see where that gets us. Sometimes when you're using pink frosting, I find it can be a little too like baby pink, so adding red can warm it up a little bit and make it look a little more like corally. We're gonna take this pink frosting, put it into our piping bag. We're gonna squeeze this all the way down. I'm gonna take my piping bag and I'm gonna twist it. And this is gonna apply a little bit of pressure onto our frosting in the bag, which will help it to come out a lot easier. One thing that I highly recommend, go down to your elbows. It'll give you a really nice, solid, sort of like tripod surface to work on. Starting from the middle and then going out and then lifting up. That's all we gotta do. And then we're gonna get these really beautiful roses. I'm just squeezing really evenly with that hand, just like making almost like a full bouquet of flowers on your cookies. Now we're gonna go a step further. I thought this would be a really fun idea to do chocolate and peanut butter together. Level 3 cookies, let's go. We're gonna do a peanut butter mixed with vanilla frosting. We're gonna pipe that baby on, and then we're gonna dip it in chocolate, and then we're gonna top it with peanut butters. Another question is, how did you learn to bake recipes? And the God's honest truth is that I just got to work practicing. That's really as simple as that. I really, really believe that so much of learning to cook and bake is just practice, practice, practice. I found some sites that I could really rely on, sites that were really popular, had really good reviews, and I would honestly just do a lot of their recipes until I started to understand ratios. You just really become familiar with how ingredients start to interact with each other. And that was how I learned. I didn't go to school. It was just a lot of trial and error in the kitchen. I'm going to do about 2 parts of frosting and then 1 part of peanut butter. So we're just gonna use a plain peanut butter here, and then I'm just gonna mix this together and it becomes this sweet, salty, oh, delicious goodness. Let's do another question before we pipe that. To date, what recipe are you the most proud of developing and why? It sounds weird, you guys. I'm obsessed with my olive oil cake. Olive oil is an ingredient that you don't really think about in baking because it's savory, it's olive oil. But olive oil has some really beautiful notes to it. It can be a little bit grassy, it can be floral, it can be slightly acidic, and all of those work really, really well in baking. I developed this recipe for olive oil cake, and it's so moist. It's so unique. You can basically put any sort of fruit or berry into the cake that you want. You just gotta trust me, it's so good. So we are going to do our classic piping technique here. Be a little bit more careful with how I round this frosting over my cookie because I don't want it to go all the way to the edges because I want that chocolate to be able to just sort of sit really nicely on top. I just melted chocolate chips with just a tiny bit of coconut oil, which makes your chocolate a really beautiful consistency. I'm gonna swirl them around a little bit. So good. And I'm just gonna take my fingers, you guys, and just sort of smooth out those edges there. I mean, this is what I usually do when I'm cooking and baking. I just end up having a ton of sugar and like, I'm fine with it. What do you find the most challenging about developing new recipes, and what advice do you have for aspiring bakers and recipe developers? I think the thing that's most challenging about new recipes is just developing a recipe that you're not as familiar with. For me, developing a recipe for macaroons was really tough because it's such a technical thing that when I started my blog, because I had no training, I had no idea what I was doing. Really, the biggest piece of advice I can offer is just keep practicing. Don't be afraid to use other people's recipes as a way to figure out your own technique. So that is absolutely my biggest piece of advice. There are so many incredible recipes out there that it just helps so much to use what's already out there until you feel comfortable. Ooh, looking just delicious. All right, so now we're gonna take these peanuts and we're just going to sprinkle them on top of these cookies. Oh my God, this looks so good. Yeah, this is definitely gonna be my favorite. I mean, like, how fun is that? What are your plans for Broma Bakery in the future? I have two things that I wanna accomplish. And one we're in the middle of, and that's creating a studio. So it's going to be a space where we can shoot and my team can come together. I wanna take this online space and really bring it to life. I wanna host dinners, I wanna do workshops, and I just wanna be able to connect with people in person. I think it would be the dream. If you had to pick one dessert to eat the rest of your life, what would you choose? I think I would go chocolate chip cookie, just a classic. I don't think there's ever been a time in my life when I haven't wanted a chocolate chip cookie. It just hits all the boxes. How did you get into food photography? And where did you get the idea to start a food photography school? Let's go back to when I decided to go full-time with Broma Bakery. I really had no idea how I was gonna stand out, but I knew that I needed to stand out in some way. Okay, so first of all, I'm taking maple extract. I'm just gonna put this at this point into the Cheryl's container. I'm just gonna put that maple extract in. That's gonna give us a beautiful maple flavoring in our frosting. I looked around and I saw all these food blogs and they were doing really amazing things, and I started to notice all the blogs that were really popular had really good photography. And my background, I guess, like unprofessionally, is in photography. I did it in high school, I did it in college just for fun. I just love photography, so I was like, okay, I think that might be the way that I can stand out. I spent all my time getting better at food photography, and that was really sort of how I made a name for myself. I figured, let's put this into one convenient place for everybody to be able to learn. So I started foodtography school, and it has been absolutely incredible to see it grow. We're gonna do our classic piping, but this time I'm gonna go a little bit more around like a spiral. I'm going to squish him with another cookie, and I'm gonna roll it in pecans. And now we have a maple pecan sandwich cookie. Okay, can we bite into these cookies? I really, really want to. What do we start with? I'm gonna start with the vanilla. Let's go classic. This is perfect. Oh my God, another winner. And now, that little bit of maple extract is just perfect in this cookie. I am so excited to hear what your guys' favorite cookies are. So drop a comment, let us know which of these cookies would you want to try first. I want to say a huge thank you to Cheryl's. Whether you want to go with their cookie decorating kit or you want to go with just one of their pre-made cookie holiday occasion special boxes. Okay, bye guys, thanks so much. Cheers.